Hey guys, recently moved about 8 months ago into a new place. And I've slowly been rolling out the new network, running cables everywhere. So I just wanted to do a quick tour and show how things are set up, piece by piece, all the VLANs, all the everything. So first we're going to start off and go through the server rack, and then I've got kind of my gaming setup or video editing, my main workstation. I've got some computers in the Lego room. I have one computer and then game consoles in the living room. I actually have a LAN center out on my porch. It's kind of in disrepair right now. A lot of the computers aren't doing so well right now. There's a bad Windows 10 update on some of them. Anyways, but if nothing else, it works as a BYOC setup for LAN parties. Then I've got more computers downstairs in the garage and in the music room. So we'll just kind of go through each one of them and show how everything's set up. So hope you guys enjoy. Alright, so we're going to start at the server rack. This is where it all begins. Of course, we've got a battery backup unit for everything on the rack. This is a Netgear modem. It's just a dumb modem. There's no router or any routing or anything happening here. And it comes out the gray cable into my pfSense router, which is a Sophos UTM220. And so you'll notice each of these are color coded. So we've got gray. It's just a point-to-point connection. There's no network per se. Blue is the main network, so that's my main computers that has access to anything internal as well as external. We've got black, which is simply there's no internet access. It has full access to the file server, anything internal, but it's not does not connect to the internet. The white is for internet only and no internal connection. So that would be for maybe like a PS3 or something. You want to connect to the internet, but you don't want it on the local network. Green is the same exact thing, just another segment of the white. I mean, they're not connected, but it's internet only, and that's just a sandbox for maybe setting up some servers and messing around with domain controllers, just playing around without wrecking the rest of my network. So that's what the green is for. Below that, we've got our two main switches. The top switch is a 24-port PoE switch, or the first 12 ports are PoE. And then below that, we've got the main 24-port gigabit switch. So let's start going through some more colors here. Red is PoE without internet access. Purple is actually the blue network with power. So red and blue make purple, so that's why I chose that. And then you've got the orange, and this is kind of the uplink port, I guess. Everything's separated by VLAN, but it's all done, it's port-based VLAN. So I don't have to do any configuration on any device for the VLAN. So these are tagged VLAN packets going from one switch to another switch. And like I said, this is the main switch, so these are all the connections that go to all the other switches throughout the house, which I'll be showing in a second here. Some white, green, blue connections there. And then below that, this is my patch panel. And the idea here was I can disconnect every single one of these and then roll the rack wherever I need to, and then there's only like a power cable to unplug. So everything that plugs into the rack comes through this patch panel. I've even got an HDMI and two USB connections on the left here, which go to the KVM, and then all the other connections there. So the KVM, it has a port that goes to the router. There's a port that goes to this. This is a Intel NUC. And that's my Ubuntu server. I've got 3 game servers on it right now, 2 Valheim servers, a UT 2004, anything else I wanted to play with. I've got my Raspberry Pi, That's what this purple connection goes to. So that's on the main network, but with power. And then I've got a little box here that breaks out the power, and that plugs in, and then it's got the network interface. This is a small shuttle PC. I got several of these all around the house. I think this one's stock with a fairly low power. I think it's dual core with hyper-threading CPU. But they are upgradable, so some of the others have i5s and i7s in them, and they can hold up to 16 gigs of RAM. That's two 8GB sticks of DDR3. And then the other ports on the KVM, there's two of them that go to my Unraid server. So let's check that out. So one goes to the main server, and it's just a shell interface, you know, for debugging, that kind of thing. And the other goes to a pass-through GTX 970, and that's what's actually doing all the transcoding for my cameras and things like that on a Windows 10 VM, so it's passed through to that. There's four 4TB drives here, which with Unraid gives me 12 usable terabytes of storage, which is just about full, and I'm going to have to expand soon. And then in this bay, you've got, there's three right now, 2.5-inch SSDs that slot into there. So that's like my cache drive, and actually the Windows 10 VM runs off of its own SSD there. Alright, so this is my main workstation. In here we've got a Ryzen 2700X, 32 gigs of RAM, and a 1080. There's an extra network card in there. That's just one I found in a computer years ago. Even I remember seeing them in catalogs and stuff, but all that's purpose is to get me on the black network so I can view my cameras, and also do a lot of administration and from here, so I need this to be on the black and blue network. So got 3 monitors on this computer, and I've also, of course, this is my secondary computer. It's just another one of the shuttles. This one might be the i7. I know one of them's an i7 with 16 gigs DDR3. Also got another battery backup for the computer in here. So the secondary computer, the shuttle, goes to these 2 monitors here. Again, if you're into Lego, that's the one to subscribe to, because that's honestly a higher priority than this channel is right now. And I've got one more monitor over here, and this goes to the KVM that we were looking at on the server rack. So, in here I've got trusty remote. So this is my Windows 10 VM server. It runs Blue Iris for my cameras. Again, it has the 970 for transcoding in there. The reason I don't have my cameras up, because normally this monitor is for monitoring all my cameras, and then Blue Iris will be here, and I can see all the alerts and everything. But it's just not something you should willingly post to the internet. Like, here's all the cameras, and this is the camera angles, and you know, you can kind of figure out what the blind spots are. It's just not a good idea. But I've run an Astroneer server from here. Apparently I was doing a Open Roller Coaster Tycoon 2 server for a while there. It's also my Plex server, and transcoding has helped along with the 970. So now we're going to use our KVM. I don't remember which is which. I believe... Okay, this is the Ubuntu game server, mostly game server for now. 3 is, what is this? This is the pfSense router. So I've got a connection there, and then number 4. This should be my Unraid. No. Yeah, okay. So that's the Unraid console. That's the like onboard video. Never really need to use that unless there's a problem, so hopefully we won't have to use that. Alright, so this is the setup in the Lego room. I've got another shuttle down here. It's really nice that it has serial ports. It has two, because I use a lot of serial ports. It's a 720p TV. It needs to be replaced with something else. I just haven't gotten something to replace it yet. I don't even know if that's a 1080 monitor. It might be like, you know, that weird resolution where it's like 1050 or something. I've got another one of these switches down here. I don't know if I really need that many ports. I had a 5-port, what was it, TP-Link, and the VLANs worked, and then one day they didn't work, so I just gave up on that. I'll just have everything HP ProCurve, but I actually might need a couple more ports in the future. That's a power supply I built for all my Lego stuff, because a lot of it takes 12 volts AC, so that's what that is. Over here, this is my pride and joy. This is my Windows 98 computer. Because I need to run a lot of old software. I need serial ports. It actually dual boots. It has Windows XP as well. So this is a project I'm working on now. If any of this sparks your interest, I do have a Lego channel, which I'll link below. And of course, Clint, he's always there. He helps out with the Windows 98 bugs when the drivers goof up and all that kind of stuff. So I do appreciate that. Alright, so now we're in the living room, where it's a little more echoey apparently. I've got my Nintendo Wii. I've got some mini consoles. They're all powered by a 5-port USB charger. And then there's a 3-port HDMI switch, and it's an auto switcher. So whichever one I turn on, it's going to automatically switch to. I've got my PS3 down here. And this is the placeholder switch. I'll probably have to replace this because, like I said, the one in the Lego room let me down. It just stopped working. I still need to run an orange line in here with all the VLANs. So basically, it's just going to be white for the PS3. I have a PS2 and original Xbox, and both of these are on the network, but they only need local access. So they're both going to be plugged into the black network. And then I think earlier I said I do have a computer down here, but it's probably going to be a shuttle or a NUC or something, and it'll just sit over there, and that'll be on the blue network since it will need internet and access to the internal network for playing videos and stuff. Alright, now we're out here on the porch in the LAN center. We'll start things off with the DOS and Windows 3.1 computer, just for playing old games and goofing around. There actually is some Lego software that I think I'm going to need DOS for eventually. I've got 2 of these switches down here, just like everywhere else, mostly blue and black going everywhere, but then again I've also got the white if somebody wants to plug in a game console or something like that. This one's actually a little bit different, but I've got several of these built. At one time I had 8 of them, but now only a couple work. So I've got all my monitors mounted up there. Got a good deal on the speakers on eBay. And this it's actually a TV up there, but that's mirrored to this monitor, which died in the past week because it worked last week and it won't turn on today. So it's just the way things go. So that's the HDMI switch or splitter that goes to the other TV on the other side. But these computers, like I said, this one I believe is it's like 1 generation newer. But all of these are, actually I can show you the inside of one, since it's just over here. They're all socket 775 motherboards, and I've modded the socket and the CPU to accept Xeon processors. So the best it can do is like I think it's 2.8 gigahertz, something like that, quad core without hyper-threading. We're talking some pretty old stuff here. The graphics cards were a mix of anything from a GTX 770 to 780. I was using the 970 in the main one, but again, that went to the unrated server. And they can only take up to 4 gigs of RAM. So the problem I had was after some kind of Windows 10 update, some of them started operating at about half the frame rate of any other game or any other computer on the same game and benchmarks and everything. And I never really figured it out. It's a software issue for sure, because the problem follows with the drive. But I just did not feel like redoing everything. And I know Windows 10 is getting much more bloated day by day, so 4 gigs of RAM just ain't going to do it. So I might just have to go back to Windows 7 on all of these. And then if I do that, maybe I'll switch them over to the black network, because I don't know if I want Windows 7 on the internet, since it's pretty much of end of support, unless you pay for it. So that's the state of the LAN center. But like I said, you can BYOC, and you just plug into your speakers. You got HDMI, keyboard and mouse, plug into the network, and play some games. Alright, so down here in the music room, I've just got the one computer, so I've got my TV mounted on the wall, and it's just the one computer down here right now. But I did use orange for the cable, because if I ever put a switch in here, then it will be tagged VLAN. And then so this is a Ryzen 7 3600 1070 Ti, and a Rosewill rack mount, just like the server upstairs. It just fits nicely in the rack. But I did use it for VR at my old place, but there's a lot less room here, so I might set it up. I'm not really sure. Other than that, it doesn't really need a 1070 Ti, but it's in there if I ever want to use it. Alright, so now we're downstairs in the garage. This is really the only computer down here right now, and that's a Shuttle with 16 gigs of RAM and an i5, I believe. It's on the black and blue network, so I can watch my cameras down here. And it also has a third network interface. This gray wire goes to a USB adapter. And that just goes right down here. So I've got a blue one as well for if I'm testing a computer or something. So that gray wire provides a direct connection if I'm configuring a switch for the first time and need to set up the subnets and everything. The computer and the switches are on a battery backup there mounted to the wall. This is a gigabit PoE switch here. I've got 2 cameras being powered from it right now, and then one of these orange cables actually goes up to the switch above it, and it is powered from that port, so that really comes in handy. I'm liking that the switches have that ability. I have a full patched panel down here for each of the networks. The orange comes in handy again when you're configuring a switch for the first time. So you can plug in an orange and then plug in the gray wire, and then go ahead and configure the subnets and set up all the VLANs for that orange connection and build it out from there. So that comes in handy. I've got 2 monitors on this side, and I also have a monitor over there, and that monitor is just a mirror of everything this monitor is doing. They're actually on a KVM here, and so if I'm testing a computer, I can just plug in and switch over to it and go from there. Most of the things on the wall are powered from this power supply, just like upstairs. I hate wall warts, so that kind of breaks everything out, and it powers the HDMI splitter. It doesn't power the audio amp because I was getting some feedback issues, so it's on its own power supply. The KVM and USB hubs are powered from the power supply above it, and so I've got 2 of these guys. And I've just got a really long USB 3 cable, and I've got another one over here, and those cables go all the way up to the computer up there, so I've got plenty of USB ports no matter which desk I'm sitting at. So in effect, you can use the computer from over here just as easy. I've got a wireless mouse and a wireless keyboard down here. And on the other side of the server cabinet, we have this hot mess. This is my secondary Unraid server, and I actually paid for a license for it. At least it's only one time and not subscription. And it is a dual processor motherboard. I believe there's 6 core Xeons if I remember correctly, so it gives me a total of 12 cores, 24 threads, lots of PCIe lanes, and that's why I got this board in the first place. I've actually had 3 Windows 10 machines running at once with graphics cards, all running benchmarks at the same time. Just to do it, it is a challenge. There's going to be weird problems, but it's kind of a fun project to do. I've actually thought about maybe that would be LAN Center 2.0 instead of having so many issues with those crappy computers out there. Just divvy up the cores and memory on this guy, and because what are we going to play? UT 2004, you know, like new games, they have issues with everybody being on the same external IP. We all tried to play Snowbird together and it was a nightmare. So we're just playing old games, really. This is a 1000 watt power supply for it. These are the hard drives in there and more on the SSDs up there. I've also got a, I think I moved it, but I've got ports that come out and I can just hook up random drives. Like all these have been hooked up to here, and then I run a pre-clear on them. It's just a pretty good baseline test to make sure a drive is functional. Many of them failed as many used drives as I can get a hold of. But the ones that passed, then those go into storage. I got a ton more downstairs. And I absolutely hate wall warts, AC adapters, surge protectors, the mess. So this guy right here actually powers all of my devices that would use 5 or 12 volts or anything that would use an AC adapter. It would be powering this switch, but I just don't have the switch on right now. This is just kind of sat like here for a while. I haven't really messed with it lately. So I've got power connectors that come up here. And yes, I have 3 Wi-Fi routers because they're all in different channels. They don't seem to interfere with each other too much. So of course, easy to tell, you got the blue for the main internal, external, access to everything. This one I don't think I'm even using right now, but it's for the black network. It was when I needed to do a wireless bridge, or if I installed a wireless camera and I didn't want it on the internet, but I wanted it to be able to connect to the server. It would connect through this router. And then the white is my guest Wi-Fi. I need to get on the ports, and maybe I need to move all 3 of these because the guest Wi-Fi doesn't reach to the ports. So probably have to figure out something eventually, but maybe this is not really the way to do it. Maybe I should have one good wireless router centrally located and then maybe configure VLANs on it. I just don't know how to do that. Like I said, I've only really done port specific VLAN separation like I've got down here. It seems like it's much more complicated to have to configure each device on board to say like, oh, you're a member of this and member of this. Like, it just sounds like a pain in the butt. So I just use ports. Like I said, it makes it nice and easy. Like all these down here, you can unplug every single one of those and they plug right back into the same color. So that's why I did it that way. So that's it, or that's the tweet, as the kids say. I don't know. That is my home network. If you have any questions, you can post them below. Suggestions, post them below too. Like I said, I'm sure there's better ways I can be doing some of this, but so far this has worked really well. I don't really have any issues right now that I need to figure out, except for running one more cable into the living room, which I don't feel like doing. But I'll get there eventually. So thanks for coming along for the ride. Again, my main channel, my main focus right now is battery powered bricks, my Lego channel. So feel free to just subscribe on there and check it out if you're into that kind of stuff. It's mostly going to be technical, mostly older Lego, but it's cool stuff. There's some Windows 98 magic going on, which is awesome. So, all right. It's just, all right, that's it.